Hey folks, Mark here, and welcome to my top 10 previews of 2022. Now, there's a couple things that you should know about this list. Is the fact that I eliminated any published games that I had played and done previews for, so I could strictly have a criteria of how good was the prototype, starting with that. How fun was the experience playing the game and working with the publisher, and then how well done was the rulebook in its beta form. Because a lot of questions I get around these games is how easy it is to learn them when the rulebook is in various states of being a beta rulebook or not really complete yet. So those are all criteria that I put into this top 10 list. Now there were a lot of games that I really enjoyed overall, but I narrowed it down to these 10 that really kind of grabbed me for some reason or the other, as well as the experience around shooting it and filming it and working with the publisher. All right, so let's jump in and start with number 10. Dark Tomb comes into my number 10 spot. Now this is a compact game, but you get a full dungeon crawl experience. You've got characters with different abilities and actions they can perform. And as you take an action, you can't use the same action on the next go around. So you have to make some interesting choices as you use your character and move through the dungeon. You're trying to go through the different chambers to find Aurum and the amulet. It has got some really good story text for the different chambers as you set them up, and all the chambers can be set up differently for every game. So you get some nice variation as you play it. And I love cooperative games, and the fact that I can take this and play it at lunch somewhere is fantastic. I can already keep it in my car. Now, the prototype looks done and finished. So you have some nice characters to choose from. You've got nice, interesting dynamics with the different enemies, because as you have different player counts of the game will determine the strengths of the enemies you're going to go up against. There's items to collect, just like any good dungeon crawl, and it's all based on just using cubes in a small factor, but it does feel like a big table game as you expand it out and move through those chambers and try to find that amulet. I really like every aspect of this game. It actually works so very well, and the fact that it's super portable and I can play it anywhere just drew me in right away. And also, again, it is super compact, easy to take anywhere. I already, just in prototype form, keep this game in my car, so I always have it available. So, number 10, Dark Tomb. On to number 9. TSURO, the Luxury Edition, is my number 9. Now, this game in general, I have a soft spot for because it is a game my kids played as they grew up. It will always have a place on the shelf for us. You know, the gameplay is very straightforward, very easy, and it's also a great game to get new people into because it's just really straightforward. I love the puzzly nature of it. You never know how the paths are going to go as you lay out the tiles and so forth. But this deluxe luxury edition is incredible. Probably the best, 100% best prototype I received over 2022. It is super impressive. You know, from the box down to the scroll, the bamboo scroll with the rules and so forth, and the clay tiles that you're going to be laying out and all the pieces. Just super impressive. From the presentation of opening the box to putting it out on the table, definitely this luxury. Yes, it is super expensive, and you know, it is very limited, but I absolutely loved this version of the game. It will be hard to go back and play the basic version because this deluxe version is so incredible. Life of the Amazonian is my number 8. Now this is simply straight up a beautiful game. I love the fact that you're building out your own jungle and trying to make it as eco-friendly as possible as you're trying to get those eco-friendly points at the end of the game. You've got the waterfall of life. You have some tracks there that you'll be following and getting points for at the end of the game. You've got the bank of resources, several different types of resources. You'll be pulling resources from the bag, and you'll have to have a certain number to acquire animals for your jungle and put them in certain areas to help your jungle thrive and get the most points by the end of the game. You've got various cards, and you even have some special animals that you can bring with you into your jungle specifically. Again, everything's going to have a resource cost here, but I love just the beautiful nature of this game. This company, I just really enjoy working with them. The animal meeples are amazing, screen printed and even in prototype form. Everything here felt done and finished. So yeah, this is just a really nice game and fun to engage with. I love the fact that every time you play, you're just building out a different type of jungle. Paradox Initiative is my number 7. Now this is not a new game, it's a revamped version, of Paradox Initiative. And the thing is, they've added some nice features, and more notably though, the artwork is just phenomenal. They had all kinds of different artists come in, and I got to be part of the team that got to reveal the different art through the course of the campaign. So that was really, really fun and just beautiful. The game just looks amazing, and even in prototype form. I only had a limited set of the new artwork that I could show and so forth, but those new pieces of art that come with the different past, present, and future cards, you are doing set collection in this game as you manipulate the time streams with all the particles that you're going to be acquiring. And the particles are in this 5x5 grid. It's kind of bejeweled like, and you're going to be manipulating that grid through the course of the game. You also have technology that you're going to be researching, getting those right icons and moving through the time strand. And the neat thing is that sometimes things become fractured, which will cause you to lose points at the end of the game if you've collected those sets and so forth. So this game is beautiful, a really neat table presence, and this new version just makes me really excited because it looks amazing. And even again, in prototype form, it was fantastic. Cube Monster is my number 6. Now I love the theme around this game. You have to sacrifice cubes to the Cube Monster. You have to race up Mount Cubia as you try to acquire new types of buildings, going past your fellow players and hopefully reaching the top before they do, as well as balancing the fact you have to have enough cubes in hand to sacrifice the Cube Monster as you move along the mountainside and so forth. So again, as you move up the side of the mountain, you'll get additional types of buildings like the marketplace that you can build on your player boards. And the neat thing is that all these cubes from the resource bag you're pulling and so forth, these cubes are big and chunky. And you don't just put them on your player board, but you have to build the configurations that the buildings call for on your board. So you can generate more cubes, get reward cards, and upgrade your various types of buildings, giving you more options. But it's a nice balancing act between getting those cubes and having enough cubes on hand that you can sacrifice to the Cube Monster so you don't get penalties and so forth. So it really has a nice balance of things, and it has this amazing table presence, as well as if you win all in on this Kickstarter, you have a full 3D mountain that you're going to be moving up, and it just looks amazing. So I did have a lot of fun, even though I had only the flat version of the game. It just is a beautiful game and a lot of fun. My family engaged with it really well. They actually played it multiple times. This is one of the prototypes I was really sad to send back. Escape from New York is my number 5. Now, I love the Pendragon Game Studios. They did the thing, and now they've done New York. They really do a fantastic job making you feel like you're playing the movie. So I'm a huge fan of Escape from New York. Loved it since I was a kid and so forth. And they really did a good job making you feel like you're part of that movie and you get to play as Snake Plissken. You have to do all the things the movie calls for. You have to find the president, you have to find the tape, you got to get out, you got to find the map of the bridge that has been mined so you can escape. And hopefully you're doing all of this together, but you could betray your fellow players if you so choose. So I really like that type of gaming, that it draws me back into something I already loved, and they do a fantastic job with this one. The prototype was pretty decent. Again, it's not, I wouldn't say one of the most beautiful prototypes, but they had enough here that all the remnants of the movie that just totally pulled me into the story and allowed me to play and be part of that experience. Tiny Epic Vikings is my number 4. So, previously my favorite Tiny Epic game was Galaxies, but now I think it's Vikings. I love every aspect of how this game works. You're trying to get runes and use those in various ways, as well as different resources. You've got a player board that allows you to track your resources and build more ships, gain more settlers, get more influence in areas, but you need to get influence in areas to get the different runes that they call for. There's also runes to be acquired from cards based on battles that you engage with and so forth. And there are gods in the game, and it's going to be different every time you play. They have fury tracks, and as the different runes are collected, their fury tracks will move up. And again, this is how you're going to be scoring and so forth. But I really like all the different options. You're going to be drafting cards in this game, and the cards that you draft from each of the eras are going to be the actions that are going to have available to you. And based on what you're doing and how you play out those cards, you might play one before the other so you have available runes later, because because there's all kinds of different ways those cards can interact between each other. And there's a bottom action that requires a certain rune or type of runes that you can use in order to get that bonus action, so to say. So I really like that aspect, how you have to plan ahead and put your actions into play, and hopefully you're going to be the Viking that comes out on top. So the experience with this one was fantastic, because previously I didn't know that I could actually feel like Galaxies was beaten for me, because I've loved Galaxies for a long time, but Vikings really does do it, and I cannot wait to play it more and actually get the final version in hand. Iron Forest is my number 3. So again, this is one of those dexterity flicking type games. You may be familiar with Ice Cool, but Iron Forest takes it to the next level. You're using boxes within boxes to build out the terrain. It's multi-tiered, and there's even a device for launching the different figures or mechs into the air to the top level of the board. So there's a lot of interesting fun back and forth. This is one of those games that gets you up off the table, running around, using the different angles to use your mechs and make those hook shots and so forth. Now, one of the neat things they did here is they made a story adventure, several different types of scenarios, and each team, it is asymmetric. So you may have a different type of objective than your opponent does. So it is a race to see who can finish those objectives first. There's a lot of back and forth. You can actually cause damage to your fellow mechs and so forth, and go after your fellow players. It's pretty interesting indeed, but it's only temporary. Those mechs will come back. Now you have different cards for your mechs as well. You can gain different types of equipment this time for those mechs. It's just really a lot of interesting aspects. It is just a ton of fun. Again, the game gets you off the table, up, and engaging with everyone all the time. And you know, we even took where you could do 4-player, where you take half the team, everybody takes turns flicking stuff. So there's a lot of interesting aspects to how they've combined this. But again, flicking, it's a flicking game for sure, and I love the catapult launch onto the board. So a lot of fun, and I love dexterity games in general, and just the fact that it has this dynamic aspect to it. Now, again, a beautiful prototype, boxes within boxes as you build it out, and I just found the experience around this game to be incredibly fun. Again, this is one of those prototypes that I was really sad to send back, because we played this so many times with me and my family, and friends came over to check it out because it's just this amazing thing on the table, and I can't say enough just how fun that catapult is. So I like the fact too that they've done a little bit more to make it more of a gamer's game, where the scenarios are doing various things and you have to achieve certain goals, as well as even like you flick your pieces into dice and you're trying to change it to certain values and so forth. So they really did some neat things with this version. It does feel like an upgrade from Ice Cool. MOONRAKERS Titan and its 3 new expansions is my number 2. Now, I have enjoyed MOONRAKERS for quite some time. It is one of my favorite games. I love the contract negotiation in the game. It has a great theme, the artwork, everything around it, all the different crew and stuff that you can do in the game as you try to have temporary alliances with folks to fulfill those different types of contracts. So it really has become a family favorite, as well as with several friends as well. But the thing here is that the expansions give you so many new ways to play, and you don't have to put all 3 of these new expansions into play, but you can pick and choose which ones you're going to use, which I really like. You've got 3 different types. You've got the Nomad, you've got the Overload, and you have the Binding Ties. Now, there's all kinds of different things that they offer. You get new crew, you get new ship parts, experimental ship parts, you get the new Iospheres, which is an unstable energy source. I love the new tokens for that. And then you can build alliances with the great houses, another way to get favor in the game, so to say, and you move up and down that track that they provide for the expansion. So it just gives you so many new ways to play, and they also did a nice job overhauling how the contract system works. So those expansions add a lot more to the game. And then of course that big box, the Titan, allows you to put it all inside. So that was a really nice thing. I had a prototype of that big box and it works so well. So I can't wait to see what the final big box looks like and how all the different pieces and cards look in that final release of the game. But the thing is that everything from Ivy Studios looks amazing. Like I said, prototype form, it looks complete and done. Deep Rock Galactic is my number 1 for Rock and Stone. So this is based on a video game, and what they did a really nice job here of making you feel like You're playing the video game, but in board game form. One of the few that does this really well, I would say. Now, my experience around this game was just phenomenal because I knew about the video game, but I hadn't really played it. So I got together with Corey Thompson from Dice Tower Now, Dice Tower News, and we played several rounds. And then I jumped into the board game, and it was a really nice transition from one to the other. Things made sense from the rulebook. But what was also nice is that I played with folks who didn't know the video game, and they were able to engage with it easily. It is a cooperative game, one of my favorite types of games. All the different missions require different things you're doing. You might be acquiring gems. You've got your little robot friend to do that, but along the way, you will be battling these insectoids. Now, this is the final version of the game, and it's pretty rare that I get a look at the final version, you know, and what I discovered about it is that the prototype was just spot on. There's some changes and quality upgrades and so forth, but the thing is that it was the best prototype I received all year in 2022. Fantastic. The miniatures were so well done, so detailed, and a lot of times because they are prototypes, miniatures arrive to me and I have to repair them before I can film with them, but not for this game. They did a good job packing it, and just the overall experience of the game and playing it was really well done. Now you have different miners. They're all dwarven miners, and they're going to be doing hazard duty in space. But they all have different abilities, different types of weapons, and again, all the different objectives. You have this really nice scenario book, mission book, that you're going to be engaging with. And it leads you through so many different neat aspects of the game and different ways to play. And I love cooperative games, so you all are really trying to work together to achieve the goals in the mission. And you have basic things like you're moving around, you might be mining through dark areas of the board to discover new areas. I like that kind of fog of war kind of idea, that you mine through this area and then reveal something new, but it could be a bunch of new big monsters that you have to deal with. So it is a lot of fun back and forth, a high action type board game where you have to truly work together. You can get surrounded pretty quick, so you got to deal with those insectoid creatures and so forth. So all the trappings of the video game are here. You feel like it is really tied into that universe if you enjoy that video game. But again, you don't have to know it to understand and play this game. It's very intuitive, very fun, and you have different types of weapons, all kinds of gear you get to explore, and it just gives you that adventure type feel as you try to defend and achieve the mission goals. So I really like that aspect. Again, 100% my favorite prototype of the year, and I can't thank them enough for giving me a final version of the game to experience and play and really compare the two. And again, like I said, I don't get to do that very often, and they did such a good job with the final game as well as the prototype. It just fully sucked me into the game, and the rule book was really well done, so there wasn't a lot of questions. I have that a lot with rule books as well, is that I read through them and not everything is really that complete, but here everything made sense. It was easy to jump in and play. I didn't need a lot of direction from the team, and I just had some great gaming experiences around it. And now over the last week, I've played this new final version of the game, and it's just so much fun. They really did a good job just drawing you into this universe. So thanks for joining me on this journey through my top 10 of 2022. Now, it's a really interesting aspect because all my games are generally prototypes. I do get to do previews, like I said, for some published stuff. But the criteria around these 10, again, was that the experience was something unique, the prototypes were really well done, and just working with the publisher was really a joy. So I factored all those things into my choices, as well as just the gameplay itself. And I really found these 10 to fit all those categories. And now there were other games that I definitely enjoyed of all the ones that I did in 2022, but these are definitely the cream of the crop, so to say, for me. Now, your mileage may vary based on these types of games, but I do enjoy every one of these. Now, people ask me all the time about previews, and the whole experience of playing from, a prototype through a prototype or beta rule book. And there are challenges with that for sure, but I love the fact that I get to see games, maybe a year or more before they're released. I am definitely cult of the future, and I love that aspect about what I get to do for the Dice Tower. I feel so incredibly lucky that I get to do this. And all of you who watch, I appreciate it so, so much. So thank you for your support and hanging with me and putting up with some of my nonsense in these videos. I like to have a lot of fun. The whole creative process around doing these just spurs my energy throughout each of the videos. So folks, ultimately, I'm very thankful, and I hope that you'll follow me through 2023. And until next time, we'll see you at the table.